Oh shit, we're in unison. Look at that.
Like that.
I know. Twinkie. Welcome back, guys. I wanted to just take a minute to thank everyone for who viewed the first episode. I looked on our subscription list. We got 3 subscribers, which to me, I'm like,
on
hey,
YouTube, that's pretty cool.
I'm like, people want to keep listening. Thank you. And we got several views. I mean, we got a lot of feedback too, and so thank you to the moms who are just out there willing to like DM us, be like, hey, I like this, or leave comments. I mean, we love that stuff. So that first episode we filmed was honestly just us talking. It was very light.
It was very rough, and I was not expecting, so I was very nervous. If you couldn't tell, y'all. Like, everybody could tell. They were like, she's definitely nervous. I was like, but I'm not used to being filmed.
I know. I'm like, you got to get used to it, boo-boo, because we in it now. We in it. But so yeah, that was just like, I said light, you said rough, tomato, same thing. But so, this episode, we really wanted to just share our own personal motherhood stories and let you guys a little bit into our world. And again, a part of why we started this podcast, this platform. I know Brittany is, and I say this truly, there's so many moms in my mom group that I just absolutely look up to, but you are definitely one of them. You are. I'm not just saying that. Like, I say it wholeheartedly because, girl, you get it done. And today, it's so funny because I wasn't creeping on you, but I was just scrolling, and I was like, it's Harper's birthday. I was like, oh, snap.
My baby.
Your baby girl. So did you want to go ahead and go first and just share a little bit about Landon and Harper and your motherhood journey with them up into this point?
Sure. So I am pansexual. I'll go ahead and put that out there. And about 12 years ago, I got with a woman, and 3 years into our relationship, we were like, hey, we're already married. Like, why not have kiddos?
Yeah.
So we did insemination for my son in Albuquerque, had him, amazing. And then my ex had to keep going like overseas and like going over here and over there. And we just kind of talked because I was just like, I just don't want a single child. Like, I want at least 2.
Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, well, while I'm out, like, go ahead and do insemination for the second baby. And I did it, and then I got Harper.
And where was she at the time that you were being...
She was in Korea.
Inseminated. That sounds odd, but...
I inseminated myself.
Oh. Well, so, okay, because I was like, how does that... Okay, cool.
It was me by myself.
Okay.
Like, it was a whole thing. And, like, what was crazy was the month prior, I lost 2 friends in one day. One to... skin cancer, and one to like a fucking bleed in her stomach that they just couldn't like get a hold of.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember telling both of them, I was like, man, I want a daughter so bad. I want a daughter so bad. And then the next month I was just like, all right, let's do insemination. Like, it's fine. I'll do it by myself. And I was like, I hope it's a girl. I hope it's a girl. I already have my boy. Like, I hope it's a girl. Like, I told both of them. And then, like, I already knew it was a girl. I was so fucking sick for forever. But, I was just
You're like,
dude.
Damn, this is the worst.
Because with Landon, I wasn't sick at all.
Really?
Like, at all. No. I craved things that I have never craved in my... So I don't like hamburgers, steaks.
Did you like them rare?
Not at all. I don't like them at all. So, but whenever I got pregnant with Landon, all of a sudden, I wanted steaks. I wanted hamburgers. I wanted, like, a hamburger every day. And my ex-wife was like, what is wrong with you? Like, you have never wanted burgers. And I wanted everything hot, like, spicy, super spicy. And then I just remember with Harper, like, I couldn't even smell meat or anything without feeling nauseous. And to this day, she will only eat chicken nuggets.
Oh, yeah, or cheesy roll-ups.
Yeah, any other meat she won't. There is no other meat that she will partake in. And which was
I never
crazy
caught that.
because I was like, dude, I was so sick the whole time I was pregnant with her. like any meats. I was just like, oh, I can't do it. And then for her to come
You're
and be like, I hate meat. I'm like,
trying your best to get your iron. You're like,
I'm like, no, I can't do it. No, I was having to take pills to like supplement. But she wasn't supposed to be due till the middle of July, which I was so excited because my birthday is July 28th. And I was like, oh my God, another July kiddo besides me and my older sister. June 30th, today, my appendix ruptured. And they were like, so we're going to have to cut your
while
baby
you were
out.
pregnant?
Yeah, I was 38 weeks pregnant. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And they were like, okay, hold up. We got to cut your baby out first. Okay, she's born 6'10", and then I don't remember anything else.
Wait. Can I ask something?
Sure.
Did you know that your appendix had ruptured, or did you think that was like labor pains?
No, so the day before, so June 29th, I had my mom take me into the hospital. And I was like, Mom, I'm really hurting like a lot. Like, it's not, because where I had Landon at was a midwifery in Albuquerque. So they don't do pain medicine.
No, ma'am. I mean, to the moms who can do it, good for you. But I was like,
I did not choose to do that. I didn't have a choice, is what it came down to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay. And I was just like, Mom, no, like, it's not in my like coochie area. It's like all up here in my chest.
Oh,
and my mom
scary.
was like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, take me to the hospital. She took me to a freestanding hospital in Kyle. And they were like,
Sherry.
Oh, she has TRICARE. We don't take TRICARE or Medicaid. And my mom goes,
she's
hold up.
pregnant.
My mom goes, wait, hold up. So her insurance, her wife right now is overseas
serving
in
this
Korea,
country.
Serving our country. Let's just go. Let's go. My mom will 100% comment on this and be like, yep, I sure did. I was just like, Mom. Like, so I
thought they couldn't deny care.
I pulled out a whole ass insurance card and they denied me care.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm like this. I can't even talk. So I'm just like showing my card and they're like, nope. I was like, what the fuck? So I went to Kyle and they were like, oh, okay, let us see you. Oh, we just think that you're in like preterm labor and blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, my coochie would hurt. Sorry. I'm like,
you're like, I've had a child.
I've already had a child.
And I've experienced
with
the ring
epidural,
of fire.
Nothing hurted but like right here. Like it was just like, and it would like go up into my face. So I was just like, no, I'm not in preterm labor. And anytime they gave me Gatorade, water, I was just like the Exorcist, like way across the room, everywhere.
They're
and
like,
they
this
were
is normal.
Literally, the OB on call, she was just like, no, this is fine.
Oh, God.
And I was just like, I looked at my mom on the couch. I go, Mom, this is not fine.
Yeah, because you know your body.
And my mom was like, it's okay, let's go home. So she took me to her house, just 3 minutes away. She took me to her house because they had released me. They wouldn't let me stay. And my mom was like, it's okay, I'll watch over you.
I'm physically
blah, blah, blah.
sick.
And I went to her house. And then, okay, my dad is overseas. My wife is overseas. My mom works an hour away. And my little sister, who lived at my parents' house, works 25, 30 minutes away. I took my son to swim class and I was like, man, I don't feel good still. And I like put him in his crib and all of a sudden I just felt like this massive pop in my stomach and I couldn't do anything. I ended up dropping my son in his crib.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
I could only text my mom 911.
Brittany.
For real.
And Landon was
everybody
how old?
Forever. He had just turned 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so I was just like, okay, you know what? I'll deal with it. But like, so I had to have Harper, like my mom took me to the emergency room. I had appendicitis that had burst. So it gave me sepsis, E. coli, streptococcus, cellulitis, like all the things you can think of. And my ex-wife had her own life, and so my mom helped me take care of our 2-year-old son and a newborn while I spent 8 weeks in the hospital. And then I was just like, you know what? I don't want to stay in this hospital bed anymore. Is there anything that like I can do outside of the hospital? And they were like, yeah, well, we'll put a PICC line into your heart, which is what they did. And they were like, and you can just go home on your parents' couch and like do your Foley bulbs, which is your medicine in this like bulb thing. And as the medicine depletes, like it just like shrinks down. And I was like, okay, I'll do that then. I was like, because right now I'm in a hospital by myself.
When they took your appendix out, they delivered Harper as well.
They delivered her first.
Okay.
Yeah, they did that first. And I just remember them saying, oh my gosh, healthy baby girl, born at 6:10 p.m. And then I was out for like the next 3.5 hours. I just remember waking up and like everybody is in my room with my kids. And I'm like,
where am I?
Yeah.
That's such a like. You didn't even get the experience of holding Harper. Like you were dying.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm super thankful to my mom because
right.
my mom was able to be there with me, and she held Harper.
She got the 911 text and was like,
"Oh hell no!" She was like, "I'm coming." No, literally, and she came, and right when I literally just saw Harper, and then like I don't remember anything else. And my mom showed me videos of her like hanging out with Harper and like just rubbing her face, and I was just like, well, I'm just glad that she was taken care of because I didn't remember anything.
I mean, yeah, I would say like that's some people don't have that. Like, I mean, you're lucky. I mean, Sherry's a fucking real one. I've met your mom, okay, and she's a real one, but still, like that's got to be hard to just. You're almost like robbed of that mom newborn experience because really the healthcare system failed you. They failed you by turning you away. Because I truly thought there was like a law or something that like they couldn't turn anyone away with any kind of. I thought even if you didn't have insurance, they can't turn you away because it's an emergency. You could die.
No, they literally just told me that I was in preterm labor, but I wasn't in preterm labor at all.
Well, that's
my
what I'm saying. They
appendix
failed
was
you.
rupturing. So they could have taken blood tests to show that my fucking like my white blood cell counts were like elevated as heck, because whenever I went in there after my appendix ruptured, my white blood cell counts was 4 times the normal limit. And like that's definitely a thing that's like, oh, okay, like something is wrong. Like all my organs were shutting down.
Well, also too, something you mentioned when you were telling me right now. You said the OB on call, and I'm like, dude, you had a woman OB and she still, because I had a man OB with both boys, and I mean, I'll tell my piece, in a second, but when you said that, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, girl, to the woman OB, like, how you gonna be like, oh, you projectile exorcist vomiting is like.
Yeah, I couldn't hold anything down at all whatsoever. But so she wasn't my OB.
Right, but she was the one on call.
Yeah, she was the one on call. And I just remember, like, I'm nonstop, like, whenever my appendix had ruptured and I came in, he lived over an hour away in Bastrop. And I just remember him, like, flying into town. Like, and then all of a sudden, he's in my room in, like, a full, like, C-section gown. Right. I was like, I get it.
We're going to have babies.
A C-section. I was like,
so Harper was a month early.
2 weeks early.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, no, she was due July 13th. And she was born June 30th today.
Okay.
Yeah, no. But that's what, like, tripped me out is because I was just like, to that OB, whenever she had already let me go the night previous, and I came back after my appendix had ruptured, and she was there? That same lady's there. I was like,
not you.
I looked at my mom, and my mom goes, nope. My mom was like, nope, we're good.
She would have killed you.
And I was like, Dr. Zackerson. And I told all the other nurses, I was like, I need Dr. Zackerson right now. And he, within an hour, he was in there doing my surgery. to make sure that I didn't die.
Yeah.
But I still had to spend, after that, 2 months in the hospital. And I signed a bedside will. Like, I did all the things while my spouse is still in Korea. So, like, it's just me. I have a newborn. I have a 2-year-old. And so my mom was working for DPS at the time and took a 2.5-month leave from work so that she could...
Again, real one. She's a real one.
She took 2.5 months off of work. She was like, you know, I have plenty of like saved up time with work. Like, I got you. Like, you're fine. And I was just like, okay, because I literally have nothing left to give. I have nothing. I'm already signing over, and I just met my daughter. Like, she's 3 days old. Like, I just met her, and I'm already like,
if something happens,
here it is. Like, here you go. Like, and that shit sucked so bad. But my mom, like, she saved me not losing custody of my kids or anything like that because she took off of work,
right,
to take care of them. But she went from no kids to, or well, not no kids because she has 4.
Right, but you guys were grown.
Like, we have our own shit going on.
Yeah.
And she went from just, you know, her and my dad and working and work to a newborn who wakes up in the middle of the night and like has to be fed constantly. And she was on breast milk, so like my mom was going and picking up donated milk that around like Kyle and Buda and San Marcos, where people were donating their breast milk to my baby because I love that. I couldn't do it because all the medicines that I was on, they were like, if you tried to breastfeed your baby, like, you'll make her sick. I was just like, all right, well, I still want to try to do it. So like my mom would go and pick that shit up, and then, you know, I don't know, and then Lennon was 2, and so he was just like, Mom, anytime they saw me, which my mom brought them to the hospital every day to see me.
Oh my gosh.
Lennon would like push me around in the wheelchair. I was like, oh, I feel so old.
But that's like, so dude, see, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even in that moment, you had to have been like, if this is it.
This is it.
This is some of the best memories. Like, good for your, like, on top of all that, your mom's bringing a 2-year-old and a newborn, probably picking up breast milk on the way and still bringing them to see you.
Every day.
Oh.
Every day. Because she knows how much they mean to me.
I have to say, as sad and scary as that is, I don't think it's as uncommon as we think it is. In America, like in a first world country, there's so many people who are like, oh yeah, like, I mean, I don't know if you've heard before, but it's like, that's what I'm saying, that OB on call, not your OB.
She was garbage.
She failed you.
She really failed me 100%. Telling me I was in preterm labor. No, my appendix was actively rupturing.
And for you to only be like 911, oh my God.
I only put 911, and my mom
read it and was like,
oh yeah. And Allison came to the house, and Allison took care of Landon. My mom took me to the hospital. Like, they were the only 2 I had at that point. Yeah. Everybody else was busy.
Right. With life. And that, like, that's what's scary too, is like, and I know a lot I'm sure you've seen when you were a military spouse in the military world, you're alone.
You really are.
You're alone.
Whenever I had Landon.
Like, imagine you were in New Mexico when you had him, right?
I lived in Albuquerque when I had Landon, and my mom was there with me for like 5 days, but then my sister had a baby literally 5 days after me. So like
her oldest.
No, Kyler, her youngest.
Oh, the youngest. Okay.
So whenever I had Landon on 4/22, she stayed with us until 4/24, and then Kyler was born 4/27. So she had to like drive from Texas to New Mexico back to Texas. She drove? Oh, yeah.
Sherry's a gangster. Like, at this point, she's a full-on, like, if I'm ever in, like, a fight and they're like, pick one person that's on your team, I'm like, Sherry.
Girl. No, my mom's born and raised in South Austin. I've seen her. I've heard some things about Sherry Lynn, like pulling a girl out by her hair out of.
Like, she drove.
Oh, yeah, she drove from Texas to New Mexico, and then I had my baby, and then 2 days later she drove back to Texas for my sister to have her baby.
So you only had your mom like maybe what, 3-4 days before she left?
Yeah, I think. Well, no, probably like 4 or 5 days.
Okay,
Yeah.
but still, and then it. Wait, did you? Oh, wait, you had him at the midwifery, so you had a natural delivery, fully natural. So then, in that time of recovery, who is changing his diapers while you're trying to like mend your coochie and change your own little diapers? Like that was it. It was you.
Me? Yeah, me and my mom for like the first 3 days because Amanda. Well, I mean, hold up. Amanda also had with Landon. She got a whole week off.
Okay.
But also still, like, she was working overnights at the time, so she would sleep during the day and be awake at night. So it was like, it just depended on whenever he screamed. Like,
right.
And that's whenever whoever was available would tend to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then she's gone, and then that's it. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no friends in New Mexico.
No, I moved. So whenever she went to Korea, I moved back to Texas. I wasn't willing to live in New Mexico with a kiddo
By yourself.
and me by myself. Yeah, no.
I mean, 100%.
Well, to me, it wasn't safe enough.
Right. I've never been there, but I just couldn't even imagine. I wouldn't feel mentally safe with my own head.
Yeah, no, it's not safe at all. And so I was just like, okay, well, if you're going to Korea for at least 2 years and we can't go with you, then we're going home.
Yeah.
So we came home, and that's whenever I did insemination with Harper. And then now we have 2 kiddos by the time she comes back from Korea, and we live in Florida. And there was just like such a disconnect. You know what I'm talking about?
It's hard,
though?
I think. But like, even I've heard that, kind of obviously Amanda was your wife, but because she didn't carry them and have them, it's kind of like the same thing that happens with new dads where there's, like you said, the disconnect.
That's what it is, the mother instinct disconnect. It's just
not there. Yeah.
It's not there at all. And no.
Whereas when you have that baby, you push out that baby, you're like immediately like, this is.
Well, and that's just like while my kids are in Wyoming right now and they're like, I'm homesick, I miss my mommy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, it's because they have only ever been with me.
Right.
Like 100% since the day they were born. Like I do anything and everything for them. But that's what was hard with, her coming back from Korea, like where she lived her own life for years, to a spouse and 2 kids. Like it's just I can totally understand where her disconnect is. Like
right.
it's
like hard on both sides.
It really is, because I'm like, oh my God, I finally have my spouse back. Like I'm not a single parent of 2 kids. And then whenever she comes back, I'm like,
these are our babies.
Okay. Like, so I'm still a single parent with 2 kids.
Girl, I've been there.
Like, but it's not her fault. Is what it comes down to. So
because she was the provider.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I did dentistry for forever, and then real estate for forever.
But her providing job meant that she had to be elsewhere because she's...
Yes.
Right.
So then... Yeah. So her being active duty meant that she always had to be away.
Right.
But
that's part of her career.
Well, yeah. And that's why I left dentistry and went into real estate, because the kiddos always needed at least one parent available, and I was tired of losing jobs because my kids were sick and I was having to call in and be like, hey, I can't do it, because military people can't call in. They can't.
What do you mean? She can't call in.
She cannot call in at all.
I didn't know that.
At all.
So it's all you.
It's me. 100%. All the time, every time. That's why whenever like I'm in the hospital, I message my mom and I'm like, hey,
yeah,
I need your help. Just because I know that my mom can facilitate the help. Yeah. I don't really know anybody else that can like just give 100 for 2 weeks.
Right. And it's a lot. I mean, even though you have a huge community, and the women who do have a huge community, it's a lot to ask someone to stop their lives and be like... To facilitate yours.
Yeah. But also, I think like in the back of their heads, they're like, oh my God, Brittany has had sepsis twice, cancer, like yada yada, like we want to support. I know.
Yeah.
I'm for sure that that's what my mom thinks in the back of her head.
Right.
Just because
she's happy you're here.
I did all that. I was supposed to die on her couch. Like, I left the hospital after 2 months. I was like, I'd just rather go home. And within maybe 3 days on her couch, I had a infectious disease control specialist come over to my parents' house, and I was just like, I really don't care to talk to you. And she's like, no, I think I can help you. I was like, all right. She was like, I'm gonna switch up your meds, blah blah blah. So I had a PICC line into my heart, and I was just like, all right. And she was like giving me different. She had taken out the other meds that I was currently using and given me new bulbs, and I would put the bulbs in, and within maybe a week, I just felt so much fucking better. I just felt so much better, and I was like,
had you made peace though before
I did.
With the fact that
No, I had already, I had laid out all my passwords to bank accounts and everything to my family. I signed a bedside will, which is Brittany, give my kiddos to my ex-wife. If my ex-wife can't facilitate, they go to my parents. I had to do all the things. And so I was already expecting to die on the couch. And then I didn't die. So I was just like, oh...
This is
nice.
Cool. Nice.
I was like, fucking mint. I was like, all right, so next.
Well,
but then 2 years later, I got stomach cancer.
I remember, and that's why too, even earlier, whenever I told my sister, I was like, no, Brittany's eating and drinking schedule is very specific.
Oh, yeah,
and very different.
cannot eat and drink at the same time at all. Drinking, not like booze, drinking any liquids
water.
At all. Even water, yeah. If I eat something, I cannot drink another liquid for at least an hour, because whenever I got stomach cancer, it ate the radiation meds ate my esophagus flap, so I don't have that flap anymore, and I had to get this. It's called a lynx, and it's 8 metal balls, and they're attracted to each other, and it's right here in my chest to where I can't go through metal detectors at all, at the airport or concert.
Yeah,
I have a card that says she cannot walk through. It's so that I have to stand there and then just do this on me, because I can't go through metal detectors. But I got that thing put in, and it makes it really, really hard. So if I eat any food, it's my imaginary flap is trying to open at the same time, and then if I just take a drink of something, it's it's gonna shove it all down, and then it makes me super nauseous.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I can't do that.
Yeah, but that's the thing too. Whenever I don't think I really knew immediately all the things you had went through. I knew you had lost a considerable amount of weight when we first became friends 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4 years ago.
So I got the tumor removed January 7th of 2020. So
yes,
we met maybe 4 months, 5 months after that. Yeah.
And you were already losing weight. I mean, you were not as thin as you are now, but you were losing weight. And then within the next couple years, I mean, it just came off of you. But then I realized, you're eating because of the cancer and stuff. And then what was it? I
can't eat tortillas, pasta, rice, There's a lot of things I'm restricted from. Yeah. From that. But they had told me whenever I survived my appendix rupturing and I got all those fucking diseases, they were like, we're just going to let you know, if you survive this, you're probably going to have a lot of stomach issues.
I'm sure.
Future. Literally 2 years later, I had stomach cancer. I got GIST. And I had to have a third of my stomach removed. And then 2 years after that, I got sepsis again.
I remember that.
I was where I was stuck in the hospital for another 2 weeks. I was but hey, it's been 3 years.
Knock on wood, yeah. And I will say too,
nothing.
Obviously your circumstances at that time when the kids were very little were different, but I think, again, knock on wood, God forbid anything were to happen, you have a group of women where like, Sherry would obviously take the kids. But, oh yeah, for sure, we would 100% be like, yeah, they can stay here. Is the house always clean? No, but will your kids be fed? Yes. Will
100%.
They be safe? Yes. Will I yell at your
cuss?
kids?
Will I cuss a little? Yeah.
I'll be like, damn it, kids. Listen to me. We are going to the hospital and we are going to visit your mom, and no one is going to argue on the way there.
You're just going to be like, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The whole time.
They'll come back knowing Spanish. They'll come back knowing Spanish. I'll be like, I'm serious. I'll be yelling at them in Spanish. But dang, dude, like it's a lot of, when I hear your story again, it still is like, to me, because I know it's so much around your physical health and well-being and what happened. And it's just astonishing to me that I'm like, so you were never overseas. This was in another country. You're like, no, good. It was here in the good old US of A.
It was here, girl. It was here where they were like, oh no, you're just in preterm labor. I was like, no, I'm fucking not. I was like, my vagina would hurt.
I've had a child before, ma'am.
And whenever my appendix ruptured, that was the pain that I was feeling. It collapsed my right lung and everything. So Harper is the only reason I survived.
Because she was holding everything up.
So with me being 38 weeks pregnant, whenever my appendix ruptured over here, it fucked up literally everything on my right hand side, even into my jaw. I even had like jaw stuff that I had to have fixed. But then all the way down. So like all the 13 stomach surgeries that I had were all on the right side of my body. And they told me if you wouldn't have been pregnant, you would have died, because it immediately collapsed my right lung. So why wouldn't have it collapsed my left lung if I wouldn't have been pregnant? And so I call her my angel baby. And Landon will be like, why is she the angel? I don't understand. I'm like,
he's like, I could have almost killed you too if I tried.
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to do that? I mean, we could do that.
What's it going to take for me? And you know what's crazy though? Is I will say, oh my gosh, Landon, by the way, is just the cutest thing ever. And he's so very special.
He's the best.
But Harper too, she's got this little light about her. I don't know what it is, but Harper is just,
But remember I told you I lost 2 friends on the same day. Exactly a month before I found out that I was pregnant with her, and I had told them both I wanted a little girl so bad. I was like, I just want to do all the bows and like all the things, like dress her up. And then I found out that I was pregnant with Harper literally a month later, like a month to the same day of their passing.
Yeah.
So I was just like, they helped me do that. I think that's why she's so fucking kosher. Like Landon's got a lot of questions. He wants to know every detail. This is hot? Sure. Yeah. Be for real. Like, okay. Why are we doing that? I don't understand why you should choose to do that. And Harper's just like, yeah. Can I have a piece of gum? Like,
stop. It's not a mom.
He's got to look around and be like, what's up with these bitches?
he's a little suspicious. He's got questions.
He got questions.
Oh, well, dude, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, it's not easy to talk about those things at all, because like even when you literally were talking about your bedside will, the back of my head was tingling, and not like in a good way. It was like stress was shooting up from my nerves back here because I was stressed just hearing about it. And here's the thing, I don't blame Camden's dad at all. Because we were very young, we were in high school, we were teenagers, and then I went off to college, and I was like, I'm going to college 6 hours away. I mean, I was 2 hours outside Dallas, so yeah, about 6 hours away in Commerce, Texas, and I was
Not
like,
Commerce.
I know, I loved it though. I did. I loved the country life. We had to go up there for a wedding.
That's
recently.
why she lives out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
and I gotta
drive
out into the sticks, hoping I don't get like murdered at some point. Coming out here to make this podcast.
I just wanted some land.
I'm surprised you get Wi-Fi up in this bitch.
Dude,
actually,
it's sketch sometimes. There's sometimes.
That's why I'm like, I'm
just
surprised.
drop.
She still lives in the sticks.
I do. And I loved it. Like, we went up there for a wedding recently, and Camden was like, this is where we could have lived. And I was like, possibly, had I gone back up to school after I had you, they had family housing at that university. He was like, I'm glad we moved back. I'm like, oh! I'm like, I love it out here. But, okay, so we dated in high school. We met when we were like 16, 17. And then we split after that year and a half of dating when I went to college and he stayed home. And we continued to talk and do what young adults, teenagers do, hook up. We hooked up on Thanksgiving break. I literally got back. And
I know, and you're like, Vincent said I got pregnant.
Christmas break happened.
Oh.
And I was like, in my head, I was like, when's the last time I had my period? And my mom was like, I was like, oh my God. So I was like, it's okay, it's fine. I think I'm just thrown out. Because I was also getting free birth control from the university. They had it there, like where you went into the clinic and you could just go and ask for free contraceptive, which kudos to them. So you could get free condoms, you could get free birth control, like the generic, like in the green pack. I don't even remember what it was. White pill, orange pill, like those old school. And so what had happened was,
I was like, girl, that's why I didn't be fucking dudes. I was like, you know what? I don't need no babies. I'll just fuck bitches.
I missed like 3 days when I was on a trip. And I thought if I just took them all at once. No, it was before Thanksgiving. So I thought if I took them all at once, that I'd be fine. That's what I read on Google.
Girl math.
I was girl math.
I
just take all 4 pills at once. I'll be good.
It'll fix all that shit.
Yeah.
Like, bro, that doesn't happen.
I was like, I won't get pregnant. We're good. That's what Google said. I was also 18.
That's what Google said.
So I come back, Thanksgiving break. We hook up. We're not together. Okay. I go back to college, living my life. And then I honestly, I couldn't tell any difference because I was very stressed. Also in college, like right before I went to college, I had lost a considerable amount of weight because I've always struggled with my weight my whole life. And so I was chubby even in my like high school years. I wasn't overweight. Now looking back, I'm like, girl, you was thin. But I'm like, well, you're delusional.
In my Delulu mind.
In my Delulu mind. So always been Delulu, clearly, one way or another. But I was like always sick. I wasn't eating a lot. I was very stressed. I took on a lot of stuff in college. I was going to, I think I took 18 hours my first like semester as a class load, which is crazy.
That's overload.
It was overload, but that's how I've always done everything. I had my sorority stuff.
Even 15 hours working full time, I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. I'm fucking dying.
I had so much going on, and so I was like, I'm just not feeling good. And then I remember thinking that it was stress. I was like, I missed my period because I'm stressed. Duh. Girl math. So then, when I come back on Christmas break, my mom...
You're pregnant.
My mom is like, well, let's get you on some real birth control, so I'll take you to the gyno. So we go to the gynecologist, and they, like, come out, and they're like, come in the room, actually. And they're like, is it okay if your mom's in here? And I'm like, because at that point, I'm an adult, but you don't feel like an adult yet at 18 when you're in college?
You're like, sure. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, she can stay in here. They're like, are you sure?
Wait, what the fuck did I do last month?
Yeah.
God damn it.
They're like, because you guys came in for birth control.
Do I need to go to Mexico for first abortion?
I literally was like, yeah, I came in for birth control. And they were like, okay, well, we cannot give it to you today because you're actually pregnant. And my mom was pissed. I mean, like, I had never seen her. Actually, I had seen her pretty upset before, but that was up there. That's top 3.
Top 2 tier.
Yeah,
she's Joni's fucking lit.
That's what you call a core memory of mine. How upset she was and how she reamed my ass when we got in the car. So she's like, whose is it? Like, I didn't know you were dating someone in college, and I had to tell her, well, I'm still kind of talking to my ex, Cayman, from high school, and she was like, oh my God. She was like, you guys aren't even together, like, you broke up before you went to college, like, what the hell?
Elena.
Yeah, Elena.
That's what she does. Elena.
So I was like,
sorry if your mom watches this. Elena.
It was more like, oh no, she does, but she knows how she can be, and it was warranted.
She knows how she is.
It was warranted because my mom was like, you worked your ass off to get here and did all you could.
But also, he is your fucking twin.
Oh, yeah.
Through and through. Like, the questions, the facial expressions, the way he looks. Like, he is you to a T. Twins.
Well, and me and Cam are the same person. And I'll say this. Camden, when I had him, oh God, I was like just enamored with him. Like, I remember when he was born, it's funny you brought up the midwife thing, because my Delulu mind was like, I'm going to have a water birth. Okay, Cam was fucking over 9 pounds. He was almost a 10-pound baby. So we started, and San Marcos.
My kids weighed 6 pounds, 15 ounces, both of them.
Jed was small, but Cam was huge. Like,
Cam was huge.
He's still a tall, brawny kid. You know what I mean?
He really is. For his age. He is like, he looks like he's ready to box anybody at any point.
He's just
saying, bitch, like, you look like you're ready to box. Like, if y'all could see her body right now, she's like this in the chair. Like, I'm ready to go.
I'm ready.
Let me take out my earrings real quick.
Right. I don't even have them on today, so there you go. Skip that step.
Wait, put my hair up.
Right.
That's you. Wait. All right. But anyway,
so,
sorry.
No, you're fine. So I was like in love with Cam. I started off trying to do the water birth. They were telling me, like, we think he's way too big. And I was like at 4.5 centimeters. And they were like, I think it's past like what, 5.5, 6. That's like the point of no return.
Yeah,
you can't get it.
You can't get epidural.
You can't.
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So they were like, they're all hands in there, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, in there, hands in there. Okay. And they're like, we can feel how broad he is. We may have to break a shoulder to get him out. And Cayman's in the corner of the tub because he didn't want to be anywhere near that stuff in the water. So he's like this in the corner of the tub. They were like, what do you want to do? Because if you reach the point of no return, we cannot give you an epidural. So I'm like, okay, let's get out. We'll just try a natural birth with an epidural, right? I could barely sit still where I was already in so much pain. And so they were like, you've got to sit still. We will fuck you up. Like,
oh, for real.
Yeah.
No, so whenever I got my first epidural with like Harper and shit, only my left leg became numb. Like up to my kneecap. And I'm like,
something's wrong.
Sir. I was like, this is not going to work. I was
no.
like, I need help.
Yeah.
I need help. Yeah.
So I got the epidural. Okay, I want to also say this. We went in and got induced with Camden at 8 a.m. August 23rd. Camden was born August 25th at 11:40 something. It was almost...
Oh my God. I went in on 4:20, 8 a.m. to have Landon. And they were like, you should be good by that. He'll be born by that evening. Girl, that was a Monday. Tuesday came and went. Wednesday, he was born Wednesday night, 4:22 at 6:35 at night. And I'm like,
That's what I'm saying. Labor is literally what it's called.
And they were in midwifery. So the whole time I can feel everything.
Oh my God.
There is no epidural. There is no...
I don't even know how you had enough...
pain medicine. I didn't have anything. But I just remember after I pushed him out, I was like, Amanda, I need a chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A next door and waffle fries. And then I need Taco Cabana burrito. Like, I was just like naming off all the places that I knew were next door. Well, because ever since I went in, Sunday night by midnight, they were like, don't eat anything because we're going to induce you at 8 a.m. and you're going to shit your brains out whenever you have a baby. And so for 3.5 days, I didn't have any food except for ice chips.
Same.
I only ate ice chips. And then, so I was like, actually, I need fries. I need nuggets. I was like, I need all this
everything.
Shit. I know. I was like literally naming everything. I was like, please go get all of this for me, please.
Yeah. Camden was the same. I hadn't eaten. They were giving me at least frozen lemonade flavored chip shit, whatever the fuck.
I wish they gave me ice chips.
It was pretty nice, I will say. But then I get the epidural and they're like, just take a nap. We'll keep checking you. Try to rest because you're going to need all your energy. Well, I like fall asleep. Oh, and they got Pitocin going, right? To kind of help me. Because after you get the epidural, it slows things down. Hindsight 2020, I probably would have never got it because I was literally halfway there. And then as soon as I got it, everything slowed down. And it sucked. And so they were like, we'll put you on Pitocin, which just basically makes your stomach contract like on steroids so you can push the baby out. So I started taking a nap, came and falls asleep. We are 18 years old. We're children. Cayman decides it's a good idea to tell my mom and his mom, we got this, y'all can go home. So it's just us. And I feel like I wake up and I feel so much pain. And I tell Cayman something's wrong. And I start convulsing from the pain. And he like hits the button, the nurses come in. My epidural had wore off because I had just been sitting there for so long. And they're like, we'll just check on you, Mike, because a whole day had passed, right? Yeah. So they give me a spinal tap. And they're like, emergency C-section. So Cam was an emergency C-section. He had jaundice from where they popped my water. And he had nothing in him. So his kidneys started to shut down. He was in the NICU for like 2 weeks. He was yellow when he was born.
Oh, girl.
And when we found out it was an emergency C-section, I said, you leave me the second they take him out and you follow him. Because I was already freaked out by that point. So he did exactly what I told him to. And what's sad is, I didn't cry when Camden was born because I was so much in pain. I was so out of it. I just remember.
Me with Landon.
I
didn't either.
Blacked out. And then I like wake up and Cayman's over me and he goes, you're in recovery. You got to be here 2 hours. I'm going to be with the baby. And then I black out again and I wake up and I'm in the fucking hospital room. And Cayman's holding Cam. And I'm like, oh my God, we did it. We have a baby. Can I see him? And he was like, I got to take him back to the NICU because they were just letting us have him in increments. Then they would wrap him in the lights and put him in the NICU. And it was funny because here's this 9-pound baby next to these like 4 or 5 pound, 2-pound babies.
I know, but his skin is yellow.
As big as he is, but he was so yellow. He just looked like a big old Twinkie. His eyes were yellow. His skin was yellow. Just there like with light treatment. And then I wanted to breastfeed. So the way my mom instincts kicked in, because they were like, you need a rest. It was emergency C-section. No. I was like, same thing. Where's my baby? So I got up and I walked. I shuffled my little ass and Cayman was behind me holding all my strings and shit and was like, Elena, you should be resting. And I was like, I want to see him. There's a picture of me. I look so out of it. Jed's laying in there. They had to shave the side, or Cam's laying in there. They had to shave the side of his head because they couldn't find anything where he's so dehydrated to put an IV except his temple. So forever, he was like a little old man. He had like a shaved head on the top and hair on the bottom. And I was like, I want to breastfeed him. And they were like, oh, okay, well, I was like, no. And that's what I'm saying. In America, I had to advocate for myself and be the bitch mom and say, I understand you're saying you want to give him formula, but that's not my birth plan. And this is my child. And I was only 18. So, of course, they're trying to run me over even more. Like,
yeah. They're
this
like,
little teen
they're
mom.
Like, actually, I know what's best for you.
Right.
You fucking
no,
don't.
You don't.
No,
Give
you
me
don't.
my child. Let me put him on my boob. I want to talk to somebody who can help me. I didn't know what a lactation specialist was. I'm like, surely someone here can show me how to put this baby on my boobie. You know what I mean? Surely we don't have to resort to formula if we don't have to, because I was terrified of it. And so when we got to finally take Cam home, Cayman, and me had to figure out just how we were going to do things. And we really, really tried our best with Cam. We tried our best for 7 years. Me and Cayman split when Camden was 5. And I'll say the last year and a half, 2 years, we were not even, to the world, we looked married. And we were still doing things together. We were still doing things with Cam. But in our internal marriage, we were no more than, I wouldn't even say roommates. We weren't even roommates at that point because we were more like coworkers. I mean, it was like, you do this, I'll do this. This is my project, this is your project. Like, anything we talked about was just what we had to do for the day or the house or the bills or Camden. And we really, really, and I will say, I think what really did it was the fact that we were young with no guidance. I don't think there's enough guidance out there for teen parents. There's not. We tried to get resources. We tried to do things. I still remember, I think we got it too late because by the time we ended up in therapy, because we did try couples therapy, our therapist fired us. He literally, like by our 3rd session, was like, can I ask you two something? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, do y'all even like each other at all a little bit? And we both at the same time were like, no. And he was like, okay, this is going to be our last session. I think you both need to talk about some things. And when you're ready, yes, he fired us. But this is how much at peace we were.
I've never had a therapist fired.
He fired us, girl. He was like, y'all are done. Because all we would do for an hour was fight.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
so he was just sitting there like, he couldn't get a word edgewise because we just thought, instead of it being therapy, like us working on things, it was an arena for us. We were like, you suck, poo. Well, you don't ever want to cuddle, poo.
Fuck your couch. You got a spot dick. You ain't shit. You's a bitch.
We were just, we hated each other.
That. Yeah.
But we had so much peace in knowing our relationship was over because we were so done. We went to Pluckers right after. We went to go eat. And I was like, so what do you think? Like, and he was like, I think I would like to get through a last bit of holidays with you because this happened in August, September-ish of 2018. So I agreed. We did Halloween together. He wanted to do one last Thanksgiving, December, and then New Year's came, and that was it. We were done. And the only thing I will say is that even though for the first 2 years, a lot of people look at me and Cayman's co-parenting situation now, and they're like, oh my God, like how amazing that you guys can. By no means are we like best friends. I personally don't think that's healthy. I think there has to be healthy boundaries, right?
Yeah.
I don't ask about his life and his relationship. Obviously, if his girlfriend wants to come to things, like we're at the point now where she can, and I think she's really cool. You know what I mean? Cayman could come here and help me and watch the kids. But we are able to effectively, even though we still have our differences, say, let's take this. The other day, we got in an argument, and we probably shouldn't have, over things with Camden, and that we disagreed on parenting style. And he said, can we step outside? And I was like, that's how I know we've grown. And I think the difference is too, like you're an adult when you had your children. Again, we were teenagers. So we were trying to figure ourselves out. And honestly, by the time we hit 21, 22-ish, we were totally different people than we were when we were 16. And even different people. I didn't
even have kids at 22. I had kids at 25 and 27.
We were just different.
Like, I couldn't even imagine because I was so fucking self-absorbed at that age that like there's just no way that I don't think it could have happened.
That's what I'm saying. Me and Cayman, there was a lot after our split that I had a lot of resentment, and I think a lot of maybe moms who are going through divorces or going through separations, even like trial separations. And I will encourage you in that time to let go of your resentments. If you feel in your heart you want to try to save that family, there's nothing against leaving. I'm all for a woman saying, I can't do this, I have to leave. And there's nothing against a woman saying, I'm going to give him and our marriage and our family another shot, because I think both are very honorable. But if you're going to be the woman who gives your spouse another shot, you have to let go of the resentment that built up. And I didn't do that.
I was about to say, if you're like, hey, okay, fine, let's start fresh from here on out. But then a month down the road, you're like, remember 5 months ago? You're like, right. No.
But then see, on both ends,
that's not where we said we were starting. We said we were starting fresh. Fuck all that shit. Let's move on. But like, you're like me. Whenever I get super butthurt, I'm like, actually, remember a year ago when this happened?
Well, I think there was two sides to that coin. And for men listening, if there are men, I don't know if there are listening to this podcast, you've got to take accountability, dude.
Oh, God.
If you want her to not resent you, you have got to own your stuff.
I mean, like, yeah, I fucked up.
I messed up so bad.
Most guys are like, I would never.
They're like,
I would never. It's you.
Right.
It's you. I'm like.
And that was one thing, like I said, for me, like your motherhood story is more like all the physical things that happened to you. For me, it was more mental. I knew that I was not my happiest towards the end with Cam, because, and anyone who met me back in 2018 or knew me that time, I was 283 pounds. I drank like a sailor. I mean, because I was working sales. So I was making great money. I mean, I was a regional manager for 3 years for a huge short-term lending industry. So I was on the road all the time. So I was like eating junk food because they also comped all your meals. You just did the expense report. For me, because I had 18 stores, I was traveling between Waco and Kyle. And so I'm like, I'm going to get Starbucks in the morning. That's comped. I'm going to get this for lunch. That's comped. If I had to do an audit late, they were like, get dinner. If you're doing an audit late at a store, like if I was at my College Station location, I would get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then I'd be so stressed that when I went on the weekend, I would drink or I would try to overcompensate for the time that I was gone. And I would tell Cam, let's go do this today. Let's go eat and let's go blah, blah, blah. And I know that Cayman wasn't attracted to me at that time. And honestly, I didn't want him to be attracted to me because I was so done with the relationship. Like, I was at the point mentally, again, my mental health, my physical health was struggling, but my mental health was really bad to where I was like, good, I don't want you attracted to me because you don't help me. I am the one who's the breadwinner here. I am the one who is still taking care of Camden. I am the one making doctor's appointments and paying my mom to babysit. And yeah, you're kind of helpful, but not really. So yeah, I don't want you to touch me. So if I'm going to eat myself to this point, then I'll do it. And that's where we were at.
I did the same thing. I just like would just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat. And I was like, it's because I feel like I'm lacking somewhere else.
Yeah.
Something else in my life is lacking.
So I'm going to compensate with food.
I'm going to compensate with food. And that's so terrible to have to be like, you know what? At least food loved me. Like, you know, food loves me enough. And
food won't leave me.
It won't leave me. Food loves me enough to where, like, I feel comforted enough to just eat and be like, fuck you at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
How sad is that, though?
Right? I felt like shit afterwards.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it fucking sucks to be like, oh, well, this food, but fuck you. And then, like, in the morning, you're like, ooh, I didn't mean it. You really don't mean it.
Right.
Like, you really don't feel that way.
No.
You know?
And I think for me, it was like, just like I said, it was a coping mechanism to fill the void, like you said, and to push my partner away. And instead of Cayman at that time, again, Cayman and me we're good in co-parenting, and he knows we've had open discussions about this now. And that's what really cured our co-parenting relationship. We had to sit down, have an open discussion where he's like, I did a lot of things wrong and I'm sorry because Camden suffered for it. And I said, you know what? Thank you for saying sorry.
He didn't only suffer, you suffered.
I suffered too. But that's he apologized for all those things because Cayman could take accountability. I mean, 4 years later after our separation, but better late than never.
I was about to say, at least he does.
Like, at least he does.
Like, I never.
But he was there for a long time.
Yeah,
he was, and then he finally did because he realized, shit, I want to be there for my kid. I owe the mother of my child an apology. And then in return, I said, you know what I owe you? I got to let it all go. There's a lot of hate I had towards you for years, but I am willing to let it go because I want Camden to have as normal as possible. It'll never be parents that can, can cohabitate, can get along.
But he has he has watched you and Camden like work it out. Like,
oh yeah.
Or you and Cayman, like Camden has seen y'all work it out. Like, and not like just chew each other out.
Like I said, I don't blame Cayman anymore because we know now, seeing each other with our other partners or whatever you want to call them, boyfriend, girlfriend, we're like, we are not a good fit. But we didn't know that at 16, and we ended up getting pregnant. And now that we're in our 30s, going to be in our 30s, we're like, yeah, we're just not a good fit. We just don't fit, right? But we can do our best to co-parent and be right next to each other saying, we may not fit on any other level. Our relationship can never work because we're very different people. But we can at least try to co-parent Cam. And I think that's one thing that I'm glad that we were able to see, And really, too, I will say that when again, mental health in my motherhood journey, when I split from Cayman, there was a huge part that I think was a testament to me still not being healed. And that led to my second child with Jed's dad, who we are not together. I touched on in the last episode. It was more of like a very sudden separation, very quickly after we had got married in Hawaii. And I look back now and I had done some reflecting because, well, one, I lost a ton of weight after me and Cayman split. I think it was depression, but I also remember like my doctor being like, because I was trying to get the weight loss surgery. And they were like, well, you're 5'4" and you're almost 300 pounds. You're a risk. So you should probably lose about 30 pounds before we will operate on you. Yeah. They were like, we're not going to operate on you at this BMI. My BMI was like something crazy. I think it was like in the 50s. So they were like, there's no freaking way. I mean, there's old pictures of me on my Instagram, and I've had people be like, that was you? And I'm like...
Girl, me too. People will be like, oh my God, Brittany. I was like, yeah, I was 285 pounds, and now I weigh 130.
Right. I never got the weight loss surgery. I ended up losing like 50 pounds. I went back to see the surgeon, and I thank God every day that surgeon, he did me a favor because he was like, you're 25, barely 25. He was like, you lost 50 pounds in a month when you're supposed to just lose 30 from diet and exercise. He was like,
you can do this on your own.
He told me straight up. He goes, if I do the surgery, it'll change your life forever. He's like, versus I think you can do it on your own. Why don't you come back and see me in 2 months? And I had lost like another 25 pounds. Because when you first start losing weight, it comes off very quickly. Then it kind of plateaus, and you gotta,
then you have to like work out different things.
Right, but even then, he was like 25 pounds. The insurance wouldn't even cover it anymore. And then COVID hit, and everything shut down, and I was working from home, so I would run in the morning because I had nothing better to do, and then I would run at lunch hour because I had nothing better to do. Me and Camden would play outside because all the parks were shut down, and that's when I really lost weight. But in that time, I was also dating, right? And my hair was purple. Again, if you knew me in that time,
your hair was purple.
My hair was purple.
I remember
that is a key indicator of an unhealed woman.
You're like, fuck this guy. I'm changing my hair.
Yeah, I like called Allison and was like, I want to go purple. She was like, full purple? Like full purple, everything, full on. And that should have been an indicator to myself that I was not ready. And I was going on dates, and then I met Jed's dad. And I remember being like, man, this guy feels like home. My home life for a long time in my childhood was chaos. Jed's dad is a lot of chaos. And so, of course, it felt like home. It was like...
Not a lot. He's extra. Bro.
Yes.
10 out of 10. Don't recommend.
Yeah, like, so I was like...
Don't even look his way, bro.
I dove into that relationship very quickly.
I noticed because I was just like at one point you have purple hair, and at the next point you have a boyfriend, and then like we're like
then we're engaged.
Yeah, we're like coming to the birthday party, and I see you have a ring on, and I'm like, what? And you're like, oh yeah, we got engaged. I'm like, wait, what? And you're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, I'm
pregnant.
looking on Facebook, and you're in. Oh no.
We got pregnant.
Then
first.
y'all got pregnant.
Had the gender reveal. Had the big baby shower.
All that shit, and then I'm looking on Facebook, and you're in Hawaii, and I'm like, wait, what the?
And you know what? I'm
like, bro, she's not telling anybody anything.
Well, so I gotta say
indicator.
That's another indicator. And for I'll say this. So when we got engaged, I would always joke with him, if you ever get down on one knee, I'll tell you to stand up, because I really was traumatized after what had happened with a 7-year marriage. Right? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm only a year into being single-ish, and I'm diving into this because let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 7 months in, we're laying in bed, we're about to go out to eat with my family for the day for something, and he's like, I got you this ring, and I want to do it laying down because you said if I ever get down on one knee, you tell me to stand up. So you can't tell me to stand up, I'm laying down, which was clever. And of course my little mind was like, oh my God, blah, blah. So yeah, the next time you saw me was June. Mm-hmm. Well, whose party was it at June? Whose birthday party? Harper's. Mm-hmm. And you were like, I'm sorry, ma'am.
I was like...
But see, and I wasn't telling anyone because in my mind, I was like, this seems relatively quick, but I know...
No, but then me, Brianna, Courtney, other Brianna, we were all like, dude, who is this guy?
Right.
What the... he does not deserve our Eddie. And then anytime we hung out with y'all, you're always so outgoing. He's like this.
We were so opposite. We were.
And I'm like, hey, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you're fucking awkward. You're so awkward.
And he has his own issues that I won't disclose on here. And I really do hope that one day he gets help to work through those.
Same.
You know what I mean? I truly do, because...
Everybody deserves peace.
Everyone deserves peace. I've learned to let go of the resentments. I was very resentful at first, but I'm like, we're 1.5 years into our separation. And I'm like, dude, if you can co-parent with me, great. If you can't, I'll be here when you're ready. I'll never keep Jed from you.
At this point, God willing.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, literally. At this point,
God
dude,
willing.
the ball is in your court.
For real.
But when we found out we got pregnant, it was funny because we were coming back from my sorority sister's wedding. in Dallas, and he went with me, and I was a bridesmaid. The way up there, I had a Monster, which I love my Monsters.
You do.
And I love sugar, so I was like, "Give me some Charlies,
Some candy,
some candy,
snacks."
I was sick on the way there, and then we had to be up at 7 that morning for like all the bridesmaid stuff, pictures, makeup, hair.
Yeah, hair.
I was
say for everything.
In a terrible mood. I was in a terrible mood. And he was kind of like, this is weird. Well, my other sorority sister, who was my roommate in college when I was pregnant at Cam. So she was baby daddy. Okay, because I went back to college. My mom forced me with Cam. I was like, please just let me transfer to Texas State. She was like, maybe after you finish this first full year. So she sent me back, girl, to Dallas and was like, you will go back and you will hide that pregnancy. So I'll still live in the sorority house. There's a picture of me at Big Little Reveal. I am 6 months pregnant, flat as a board. You could not tell. And so my mom was like, you will finish. I was like chubby, but it looked like I gained like the freshman 15. But I did not by any means.
So it wasn't round.
No.
Which would have given you away.
Right.
And so me, anytime I was like round as fuck.
No.
People would instantly be like,
baby,
for sure. Basketball or baby?
But my roommate in college was the only one who knew because I had to tell her. We were also best friends in college. And I was like, because she would see me change. And if you saw me change, you would like, know, right? I could hide it under shirts and sweaters and stuff. So she obviously was with me through most of Cam's pregnancy. So she looks at me and goes, are you pregnant? Because the only time you've been in a mood like this for no reason at all is when you're pregnant, Cam. And then I started thinking, when's the last time I had my period? I couldn't remember. So as soon as we got home from Dallas at Sunday night, I went upstairs. I peed on a stick, same like you, 2 seconds. It was like my pee, 2 lines.
I know, I was like, oh, God, yeah.
I was like,
so all right, so we're doing this.
We're doing this. But in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm like, I tell him to come upstairs because he's talking to my mom downstairs because we just got in. And I'm like, come upstairs, please. And I'm like, we're pregnant. And he's so happy, like over the moon happy. He has no children up until this point. Right? He had very much lived a bachelor life. So I'm worried. I'm not happy. I'm worried. And I've been through a pregnancy. And I told him, I said, I hope you know if this is what you want to do, I'm game. But we will hate each other. The first 2 years will be the hardest 2 years. And we will probably split if we're not on the same team. Can we do this? And he was like, absolutely. I love you. Like, I can do this with you. So, my pregnancy with Jed was very hard. I also gained a lot of weight. I gained 60 pounds with Jed.
I remember that. I was just like...
I had lost all that weight, got down to like a size 10, 12 jeans, only to be back in a size 18 after I gave birth to him. And when I say it mentally messed with me, it did. And I also knew that in the time that I was pregnant, that Jed's dad was not attracted to me because I was heavier. And that was hard for me too. It was so hard because it's like, I'm pregnant with your child. Am I not taking the best care of myself? Probably not. I could have ate better. I could have worked out more. But I was also still working full time for sales. So I was a broker for lenders. So you know what that's like. I was funding left and right because we only get paid off what you fund. Yeah, you can make an 8 or 10 grand commission check in a month, but you're working 12 hours a day. You're not getting up from your seat. You're eating at your desk.
I was going to say, you're not taking a lunch break. You're not doing any of that shit.
And I was doing that pregnant. So then we go, probably 6.5 months in, and my doctors put me on bed rest. They were like, you have preeclampsia, like we got to put you on insulin. I was on insulin. You are on bed rest. And it sucked. And he was still working overnights at his job. So at night when I'm like not feeling good, having to check my sugars, I was doing the insulin at night because it was better for me to do it at night. I was doing it alone. And I missed him dearly in that time. I was so hoping that because I did Camden alone in college, but I expected that at 18. At 27, 26, I wanted a partner. I wanted a full pregnancy experience. And I was like, I feel like the same from when I was 18, 19.
No, I hate that.
We had Jed, and so that's another thing. We kept going back and forth. I was supposed to technically be due mid-January, but I ended up delivering January 3rd They try to do it in December. That's why we had my baby shower so early, because totally different from Cam. My baby shower pictures, that was in October, so November, December.
You look so pissed.
I was also huge. I was in so much pain.
I was about to say, you look mad in all of the pictures.
Because I was in pain. It was a beautiful baby shower. My sister had it. My sister planned it at the country club in Buda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. It was beautiful.
At the Plum Creek.
The Plum Creek one, yeah. It was beautiful. She did all the decorations. She had barbecue catered by a very good friend of mine who does amazing barbecue. She set it all up, and like Brittany said, I look pissed in my photos because I was in so much pain. I just didn't feel good.
But
so
you were also supposed to be on bed rest. Like you were doing all the things.
Right.
Like, so of course
right.
you're not going to be in a good mood.
No.
Like, why would you?
No, exactly.
We're just there trying to celebrate you and let you know that you matter. We're here for you. We care for you.
I know. And you guys, and I'm going to get to that here in a minute, like the role that really y'all played after Jed was born, because once we had Jed on the 3rd, I mean, Jed's birth story was also very traumatic. They had to take my left ovary because there was a cyst on it, which also my doctor tried to gaslight me and tell me towards the end, you're hobbling around because you're overweight and pregnant. Literally, that's what he told me. He goes, if you weren't this big and pregnant, you wouldn't be in that much pain. Then as he's delivering Jed via C-section, oh, actually you have a softball-sized cyst on your left ovary. We had to take it. That was the pain. Oh, it's not because I'm morbidly obese and pregnant? That's like you told me? I'm like, okay. They close me up and they leave the sponge in me. They can't find it. I was literally in that C-section room for 8 hours. Everyone is calling and texting John. We don't have our phones because they're in the room. And they're like, is Eddie like literally alive? I have a good friend who called me, Krista, that morning at 10 when I went in and said, I just want to pray over you before you go in. And I'm like, yeah. So she prays over me and she's like, what time do you think you should be out? I'm like, well, they're going to probably take us back about an hour. So maybe like 2. It's 8 o'clock at night. And no one's heard from me. My mom was like, I thought you were dead. No one heard because we also had Jed and COVID. So only one person could be there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just me and John. And no one's heard from us, and they knew I was high risk, and they knew I had gained a lot of weight, and I was on the insulin and stuff. So they were like, "There's no way she's dead." And again, nothing to him. It's his first child, so he's like, "Oh, this is normal, right? Like 8 hours and surgery.
This is fine." No, it's not like, fine. No, it's not fine.
He didn't find out until the nurses. He said he kept seeing him dig through the trash cans, and he finally walked up to one and was like, what are you guys looking for? And they were like, well, we're not sure, but we think we left a sponge inside your wife. And so they, after they closed me up, had to reopen me, found the sponge, reclosed me. So I basically had 2 C-sections. And then he was only off a week as well because of work. And we live in a 2-story home, so I'm hobbling up the stairs, hobbling down the stairs. And I remember really being like, this is the same situation I was in at 18, but the one key difference was when I would like hold Cam, when I held Cam when he was first born, I would like see him coo and like move his lips. And I was just like, oh my God, I would smell him. He smelled so good. I would like kiss his little feet. I was just like in love with Camden. Like I was like this baby. And then I had Jed and I felt terrible because I didn't feel any of that. And he cried constantly. And I remember them telling us, oh, you got to change the formula. Put him on soy formula. It's his stomach. He's just got or what do they call it for the babies? Colic.
Yeah, a colic or like silent reflux.
Right.
Is what Landon had, and colic, and he literally would scream all night long. And I was like, I would tell my mom, I'm not having any more kids. Oh. After I had Landon, I was like, I'm not having any more kids. Like,
because it drives you nuts.
Oh my God, you feel like you're a fucking failure. I feel like I was a nonstop failure. I would call my mom in Albuquerque and be like, can you come here? And she's like, I'm all the way in fucking Kyle. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I'm just failing. Like, I'm failing hard. Like, he's nonstop, and you could just hear him screaming in the back.
Right, all night. See, for me,
oh my God,
it wasn't even a failure thing. I gotta be honest. It was a survival thing. I felt like a zombie. I was like, I'm not sleeping. I'm not eating. I lost weight pretty quickly after Jed, mostly because I just wasn't eating. Even though you guys, Like, all my friend group was like, we will send you stuff. Like, it went in unate. You know, like, I was drinking water and I was still breastfeeding. So should be eating, and I wasn't. I lost a ton of hair. You know what I mean? It was, and I felt like, is nobody else seeing that this is odd, how much Jed is crying? My ex-mother-in-law, she's an NP, okay? Wrote a prescription for soy formula for us. Was like, here, this should be fine. That didn't change anything. I would tell John constantly, but listen to me, something is wrong. He's crying. I'm not sleeping. I'm taking Jed out of the room because he was working nights, so you can sleep during the day, and I'm just downstairs and he's crying. And then Jed was like not connecting with me. Like, he never cooed. He didn't make eye contact. When I used to breastfeed Cam, he'd be like, eye contact. Jed would not. I was like, this is weird. So I just felt very disconnected from him. And it got to a point where I didn't, let's see, how old was Jed? He was almost a year.
But that's when I think he was like a year whenever I told you that I think he was autistic.
Yeah.
Because I've been working with autistic kiddos for like 4 years now. And I was like, they do all the same things.
He couldn't do tummy time.
No eye contact. They want what they want when they want it. Like, all the different things that I was pointing out to you, and I just literally saw your face, and you're like, that makes so much sense. I was like, I'm not trying to, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to tell you your son is autistic, but he has he had the telltale signs. So that's what I'm saying. It wasn't you. Like, you're talking about how you just, like, Cam would, like, lock eyes with you and blah, blah. It wasn't you with Jed. It's Jed. But Jed is Jed.
Right, we love Jed.
But also, like, as a mom, you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
What's wrong with me?
What am I doing to where my kid doesn't connect with me? Like, what's going on here? And you just have to realize, okay, it's not. My kiddo is different. We're going to work this out differently. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't think that John can handle something like that. He can't even handle y'all's breakup, let alone, like, a kiddo with special needs.
Yeah. And then to your point, I was 19 and able to figure it out. And I'm 28. 10 years later, they have an 8-year age gap, almost 10 years later. And I'm like, dude, what is wrong? I could do this in my teens and it was fine. You know what I mean? Obviously, I had things and hurdles and struggles, but it was not as bad as I felt with Jed. And then, he wouldn't do the tummy time. He would always cry. He was very disconnected. He would stim, you know what I mean? He had no interest in things. He was not babbling the way he should be at that age either. So there was a lot of things that I think, too, not only did my healthcare providers miss, right? Mm-hmm. But, like, my husband at that time, which was Jed's dad. And I remember, this is where, like, really where it ended us. I remember telling him, because I was like, and this is like to any mom who struggles with postpartum depression, because they did finally tell me with Jed that I had postpartum depression. But, like, you've got to say it, and you've got to ask for help. Because I remember going to my husband at the time and saying, and I was manic, dude. I was, like, screaming and crying, and I was just erratic. And I remember telling him, because I heard about it in the news, and I was like, I would never hurt Jed, like the kids in general. But I don't know how to feel anymore because I'm like a shell of a person. Like, I'm just
a walking zombie.
I'm a walking zombie.
He's literally a walking zombie.
And so it would cause a lot of arguments
But it shouldn't cause any arguments.
No, because I went to him for help.
What can I do to help you? What would make you feel better? Can I take the baby?
What do we need to do? Do we gotta go to the doctor?
Do you need to go get a pedicure? Do you need some depression pill? Like,
right. What is our game plan?
But that's us as women.
But I think our men gotta if you, first of all, as a man, if you know your wife in those first, it's not, because even my doctor has told me it's 2 years that you fully maybe kind of recover from the hormones and everything from postpartum, and you're back to yourself more or less.
Well, that's why they said you should at least wait 2 years to have another child.
Right.
Between your other child, is because it takes your body a whole 2 years.
Your mind, your body.
Well, once you push a baby out, shouldn't everything just be fine? Like,
no.
Bro, that's not how this shit works.
No, at all.
Whatsoever.
Yeah. And so I went to John, right? And I told him how I felt. Mm-hmm. And he was not helpful. I then text my ex-mother-in-law, who again is in the medical field. She's a nurse practitioner. And her response to me in that text message was, "What would you like me to do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I guess nothing." And even then, it's so crazy because I had friends. I have a very good friend who she could tell, and she asked me, like, "Is everything okay? Are you okay? Are you good?" And I lied. I was like, "I'm great." I'm still, mind you, again, like, why social media can be good and bad. It's a double-edged sword. Social media, I'm still doing all the pictures and the updates of the baby.
I was about to say, that's where, like, shit turns fake. That's just like Robin Williams. Like, he still he was still doing a fuck ton of movies, and then behind closed doors, he wanted to die.
That's why they're like, it's always the happy people, because I looked very happy in that time, but I was falling apart. And so I finally was like, I can't live like this, and
I refuse to live like this.
And I refuse to have my children have a mom like this, because Cam's also 8 at this time, and he needs me too. And my little Jed needs me. Obviously, he's a baby. He's a newborn. And so I called my primary care physician line. And the nurse picked up, and she was like, "Hi," like, blah, 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 like, whatever. And I'm like, "Hi, I'm a patient of so-and-so there. And I think I'm depressed, and I just had a baby." And she's like, "Oh." She was like, "Okay." She goes, "Let me reach out to him and see what he has." And he scheduled a telehealth thing, like the Zoom, because he was like, "Yeah, she did just have a baby like 9 months ago, so let's talk to her." And I remember sitting on the Zoom with him, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to reach out because I feel like something's off, and I would never hurt my baby. Like,
Don't put me in no grippy socks, bro.
Don't put me in the grippy socks.
No grippy socks."
I told my primary care all this very, like, matter of fact, very just, like, stoic. I'm not crying. And I even say, I'm like, I feel like, if I told him, "Oh, I don't think I have postpartum depression or anything," because I'd be, like, crying and all the time.
That's not true.
He literally corrected me. He goes,
"I was a walking zombie. I didn't cry at all.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
just like, change diaper, take a shower. I would just not talk. I had no emotions towards anything.
Well, I would either be very erratic when John was home, because I'm like, "Help me. I'm falling apart here. And I have our child. Help me. How else can I put it? Like, I need to rely on you. Yeah. I need you.
You're the other parent.
You're my partner. We're going to get married in a couple months."
I never had that.
And so I tell my primary care this, and he's like, "Women who are at your point after babies are like the highest risk. So we're going to bring you in. I'm going to schedule you something with a therapist that we work with here in the office. I'm going to put you on Lexapro for a little bit, and then
I love him. What a good guy.
He's a woke young doctor. I will say that. Like, I was
about to say, you told me he was younger.
He's younger. Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's very forward thinking. He's very woke.
He's woke.
But
I love how you're using your teenage son.
My teenage son's lingo. Yeah, I'm like, I'm learning.
When Friday we were just talking about, we don't even know all that teenage lingo.
We don't know what Riz is. Yeah. What is Riz? But
no, I'm gonna treat you like Gwen. We're like,
but I literally was like, okay. And then the day he left, right? Mm-hmm. We argued, of course, and it was actually my first appointment via Zoom with my therapist, who was new and trying to figure out what was going on. And I think that, like, triggered me into, like, I can't do this anymore. And I do remember telling him, like, I think we need to separate. But I didn't expect it to be what it was, where it was, like, John being like, okay, well, then I'm just going to dip and disappear for 1.5 years and leave me to raise Jed, which is...
It's not that he even came back after 1.5 years. You had to search for him.
Oh, yeah, I had to get him served.
That's why I was like, he didn't dip for 1.5 years. He dipped for forever.
Yeah, and his mom, hid him so he wouldn't get served, and it was a whole thing, and now I'm trying my best to co-parent, but even with all that, one, I'm glad I got help. Like, I'm glad that I told
Me
the
too. That's why I'm glad he's a woke doctor.
Yeah, I'm glad I And that's what
Or
I'm saying.
did
There's
you
a lot of
reach
women.
out?
Yeah, a lot of women don't reach out because of the grippy socks.
It's the 5 seconds it takes to be like, hey, I feel some type of way. But moms are so scared that they're going to get put in a mental hospital.
And that's what I'm saying. And even
I'm not mental, bro. I'm just depressed
tired.
as fuck. I'm tired. I'm constantly the only one taking care of these kids, this house, the dogs, like everything.
Right.
Like, and I'm exhausted. Like,
so he leaves, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew it was like, that was it. It was done. The way everything went down. And I called my best friend from college, the one who was with me with Cam while I was pregnant. She's been through with me so much shit. And I'm like, hey, John left. And no one, again, really knew anything. We just got married in Hawaii 2 months prior to him leaving. And she's like, what? Y'all just got married? I just saw your wedding video. Like, you just sent it to me. And again, I wasn't letting anyone in. And that's something I've had to work through. But she lives in Port Aransas. And she was like, I'll call into work. I'm on my way. And she left, called into work for the whole week, came up, and just, she was there. Like, she was like, you need to bathe, you need to eat, you need to take care of yourself, because it's very clear to me, knowing who you are. You've been my friend for 11 years. You're not yourself. I don't know who you are, and you've boxed me out. And I had boxed her out because of the depression and issues in our marriage. She's like, so I'm just going to help you get back to yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And then she called my other sorority sister, who's also known me for like 15 years, who lives in Dallas, and is like, this is the situation. And she's also like, what? Like, very, like, taken aback, and is like, okay, well, so what's the plan? And she's like, I'm going to take this week. I want you here next week. So she came. When Vanessa left, Kelly came. And she was here the next week. She helped me clean the house. The house was a wreck. You know what I mean? She helped me just get things organized. And then from there, all of you guys here in Austin just kind of alternated a day or two, just like checking in on me. And I think that was about a good 2-month span of y'all really, really being around me and rallying around me. And like I said earlier, like that's...
Yeah, just because we didn't even know about it for a while. Like, you had kind of, like, left us out.
Oh, yeah.
But if we would have known prior, we would have definitely already all been here. But, like, I feel like once ever Kelly left, you were like, hey, guys, let me let y'all know. And then all of us, we were like, what the fuck?
Right.
Fuck that guy.
Right.
And my favorite sayings, fuck that guy.
But that's the thing. That's what depression can do to you, especially, like, any type of depression.
I push everybody out.
I push everyone out. I'm like,
I'll
do it on my own.
I can do it by myself. Or I got this.
Yeah.
People are like, Brittany, I hate when you're like, I've got it. Don't worry.
And
they're like, that's your sign for I'm upset, but I will do whatever I have to do to figure it out.
Right. And in my motherhood journey, one thing I've had to learn through that whole time was I have to accept help.
People in.
I have to let people in. I have to accept help, or I won't make it.
Yeah.
And so, and I'll say this too: the group of women I have around me, just, you know, from prior friendships and the friendships I've made here, like the way you guys came and just, I mean, worked beside me while I was like working through my shit, taking care of Jed, bringing meals, like all those things, you know. I had one friend, right? And I love her so dearly. You guys are all like sisters to me. Like, I would do anything for y'all and y'all's kids. You could be like, Eddie, listen, get on a plane, go here. I need you. I can't tell you about it until you're here. And I'd be like, bet.
Hogs eat everything except for the teeth.
Hogs eat everything except the teeth. I'm on my way.
You're like, all right, let me pull them bitches out.
Beforehand.
Free hogs.
Free hog. So I call her, and this is like, again, 2 months in, and I'm trying my best to just get a grip. I haven't heard from him at this point, right? At all. Just totally disappeared. Okay. And I'm like crying, and I'm like, I just blah, 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 and I don't know what I'm going to do. And like, the house is quiet because things have kind of started to settle down with y'all coming to help because y'all have y'all's lives. And she was honest with me, which I think for motherhood and womanhood go hand in hand, right? Like, it's just motherhood kind of brings out another door, opens a door into your womanhood of an experience. And so I think in both womanhood and motherhood, your honest friend, the one who comes to you that's like you can feel the genuine, like, I'm being honest with you because I love you. I love your kids enough to tell you. I'm not being backhanded or anything. I just want to tell you the truth. Yeah. So I'm crying to her and I'm telling her how I'm feeling, right? And she's like, Eddie, can I ask you something? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, I encourage you in this time to really reflect on how you feel in your home now with John not there. And if you feel peace. And if you feel peace, then maybe it's because you allowed so much chaos and you're lacking something to where you truly need to go wherever home is for you. Like whatever home is going to be to recenter yourself, right? And there may be women on here who believe in God or are Christian or not. I personally do. I go to church. And she was like, why don't you come to church Sunday? And I had a relationship before with God, but I was very far from him. And I think a lot of people hesitate to call out things like that because, again, they don't know necessarily, like, in this day and age, it's hard to gauge, like, can I tell you this? Like, what are your beliefs or how are you going to take it? But she was really, I'll use the word kind enough to be honest with me and then encourage me if I wanted to that she would be there. So I'm like, okay. So that Sunday, like, pack up the boys. I drive an hour to her church and I'm like listening to, what is it? Yellow by Coldplay, like on repeat in the car. Cam's a G. He's like, we going through it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, Mom is stressed.
Yeah, like we're just listening to it on repeat. I'm like crying. And like, I get to church and I'm like, I have both the boys and they're doing like worship in the beginning of service. And I'm like, I want to lift my hands, but like, you know what I felt? It was shame. Like, it was shame that I was there, that I was going through a divorce for the second time. I have 2 children with me. I'm a mess, crying. And I just, like, closed my eyes, and I, like, could see myself, like, walking up these white stairs with my boys. And this man opening the door, and he's like, welcome home. Come in. And I'm not saying like I have like, I can't say what it is, right? I can just say where I experienced it and what I experienced. And I was like...
You just felt like you belonged for a second.
For a second, I was myself again.
For like 1 second, yeah.
Yeah.
And that to any mom, you're just like, holy fuck, I'm seen. You just want to be seen.
I was seen.
Yeah, you just want to be seen.
I was seen with my kids. And then from there, I felt a ton of peace. And I started like going on my journey of just letting it go, like... whatever is intended to happen, what will happen. And I gotta say that in the time that you guys have been here for me and that I've been able to experience that spiritual journey again and find myself again, I have been able to be a better mom, show up for my kids. But I had to realize that all those things didn't start with my partners. It started with me.
It was how you let them make you feel.
Right.
It wasn't you as a person. You've always been really, like, outgoing. You've always cared about everybody else but yourself. Like, that's what was my problem, too, is I allowed the spouses that I had to, like, kind of brain fuck you a little bit into thinking that you're this bubble when you don't have to be that bubble. No. Like, you can be any fucking thing that you want.
Someone who loves you... like,
doesn't put you in a bubble.
No.
That's why I don't put my kids in a bubble. My kids do anything. My son plays with dolls, Barbies, whatever. My daughter plays with fucking dinosaurs and race cars. I don't really care.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to put anybody else in a bubble because I've been there.
No, exactly.
I've been there.
Yeah. And so, I mean, now fast forward a year and a half later, I feel like myself again. I've been able to do the things I want to accomplish in that time. Not without the support of family, friends, and everything else that I've had around me. And that's one thing I want to talk about on our next segment is the honest mom friend. I think that'll be good to cover because like I said, and she's a mom too, and she's an amazing mom. She's been a stepmom to a beautiful little girl for a very long time, and she just had her baby recently. But there's more than once she's been honest with me. That wasn't the only time. And it was a lot of times that maybe I necessarily want to hear those things, but I needed to hear those things.
So she was like the mom that you needed, that you didn't have.
Or even just a person in my village who's like, can I come to you with this? Like,
I see you struggling. Here's what's going on.
It's two sides, right? And that's why I want to talk about it in our next episode. It's like how to be the receptive friend when the honest friend is trying to really just genuinely come to you with love.
If you can't be receptive, then you're not willing to grow
right.
at all whatsoever.
Right. Like, then you got to do some self-reflection.
Yeah, you need to go back to therapy. Your butt hurt for
girl, I stay in therapy.
Reasons. Me too, girl. I've been in therapy for like 4 fucking years.
Listen,
I did marriage counseling, then my own therapy,
co-parenting therapy.
I'm still in my own therapy right now because I feel like if I wasn't, I would take my frustration out with me and my ex on my kiddos, and that's not
you would project
whatsoever. Oh yeah, I would project hard because I have no other outlet. Because I don't want to burden my friends with that shit. Like y'all are done hearing that shit.
Well, it's never a burden, but it's
I know, but
there's
still,
we can't give you coping mechanisms.
Y'all can't give me habits to like. Okay, moving forward, I would try X, Y, and Z. My friends are just like, fuck that guy.
Right.
We're just like, that doesn't help. Like,
hogs eat everything but the teeth. Where do you need us to be?
I know. I'm like, they're like, so the teeth don't get eaten. But we got you. I'm like, no, I need help prior and after. Like,
right. And if you were going to grow, again, womanhood, motherhood.
It takes therapy, for sure. It takes therapy.
It takes, again, it's that two-way street. Are you receptive? And, as someone in your life, do you have good people in your life who are willing to be like, I love you enough to tell you this? And then are you and yourself receptive?
I feel like if there were more people out there like that, that's why I try to be the same way.
Right.
When somebody's like, hey, Britt, I'm just so goddamn depressed, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, can I possibly do anything? Can I come to you? Can I cook you something? Like what, because a lot of people don't have that shit.
No. And that's what I'm saying. I want to cover it on podcast in our next episode because I'll say this. I know a lot of moms don't have it. Even with me having it, I still boxed everyone out. So it's like, if you don't have that and you just absolutely need somebody, like, anybody, please, like, I may not know you personally and I'll be like, you set the boundaries, but you tell me how to help you. Please. We'll help you. Yeah. Do I need to drive you somewhere? Do I need to give you like maybe where I see my doctor and you
some favor?
Right. Like, do you need groceries?
You and the kids,
like where are you at?
Eating?
Yeah. Do you have a sister or family member that you're comfortable with the kids being with so you can shower?
What are y'all doing next Friday? Come and hang out with us and all of our friends.
Right. We're going to be here.
Like drop all your worries at the door. Like that's us. That's our friend group. And we want more people to feel the same. Right.
And you've got to be able like I said, that's why too, like I wanted to ask for it.
You have to ask for it for sure.
That's why I wanted to.
But it sucks at the same time. You have to be like, how can you not see me so goddamn distressed? Like, how can you loving me not see that I'm in shambles?
Oh yeah.
To where I have to be like, I'm in fucking shambles. Because then you feel dumb because you're like, I've already like feel like I've been feeling like dog shit. And if you can't see that I feel like dog shit, do you see me?
At all?
Do you even see me then?
Dude, that just hit me so hard. I was twice a ghost as a mom, as a woman.
Same. So I was just like, bro, do you even see me then? Or not?
To our moms, I know last episode we said thank you. But this episode we want to say that we see you. You're not a ghost. We see you. And if you feel unseen in any way, you take yourself a shower, you get yourself in the coziest pajamas or do whatever you need to do and see yourself. You're more than a mom. You're more than what you may feel like at this time because at the end of the day, we have the hardest jobs as moms.
We really do.
We're creating
the whole house
little
people functioning, work functioning, literally everything. And
I guess we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
We see you. And we hope you join us next time where we explore more the honest mom friend or the honest friend in general.
Like in general, you just need those friends that are going to keep it fucking real.
Amen.
Like be for real with me.
Right. because if you love me,
one of my favorite sayings, bro, be for real.
Bro, be for real.
Bro, be
if
for
you
real.
love me, you'll be for real.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you guys.